Growing Great Kids System of Care is a partnership of organizations in Guelph and Wellington County. It represents a giant step forward for kids with developmental delays and their families. Through one point of contact, Growing Great Kids will provide a single plan of care and coordinate services for many agencies for children 0 to 6 who have special physical, developmental, and communication needs. For the first time, children with special needs and their families have access to a system of coordinated, integrated care. Each child has access to an assessment and, if necessary, assigned to the Community Assessment Team, otherwise known as the CAT.
So what happens is the family comes in and we introduce ourselves, and then the mom has a chance to review her history and the history of the birth behind the child, and or the history around the developmental milestones or delays or concerns that they have for the child. So as one of the team members is doing the interviewing, the other team members try and engage the child in play. We try and make it as comfortable as we can and as fun and friendly for the child, so that we have lots of toys and lots of different things that we can hopefully get the child to engage in and play with. And we try and get them to go to different areas, be it the mat or a table and chairs, depending on the child's age. And all of us just take turns watching the child play in the different domains that we want to look at. So for instance, physical therapy will want to watch the child in terms of their gross motor development, and that'll include things like sitting, crawling, standing, jumping, walking, depending on their ages. The speech language pathologist will look at the child in terms of their play and communication and language skills. And the occupational therapist will watch the assessment in the child in terms of fine motor skills, reach and grasp. Also look at self-help skills like feeding, dressing, bath time, and also look at something called sensory processing, which is how the child organizes and regulates themselves around all the input that they're receiving throughout the day. And that can include things like hearing and vision, and just trying to keep an even keel throughout the day with all of that input that's coming to them, and how do they manage with all of that. And then there's infant development. Infant development and infant mental health are the generalists, and they're the ones that will look at the child in terms of their overall development. And they're also really important in trying to help the families through community accesses and community programs, and are a big part of the transition for the child to go into daycare or into school. The occupational therapist and or speech language pathologist often will work together, and we will try and engage the child so that as they're doing some fine motor things, they're also doing some communication things as well. And that happens with all of the team members. As one of the team members is working with the child and looking at the child from an observation point of view, one of the other team members is often interviewing the parent. And during that interview, we're asking really specific questions around the areas that we specialize in. And as that person is finished, then we just kind of take a back role, and we have one of the other therapists come in and do the interviewing, and the other two therapists will go and work with the child and try and get some observations that are important for their assessment. At the very end of the assessment, we all take some time at the end to explain what we found, make some recommendations to the family, and also to make sure that the family doesn't have any questions for us, because sometimes it can be an overwhelming process and there's a lot that comes out of it. So we want to make sure that the parent is getting information that they want and what they came to get, and as well that they're leaving with a clear picture of what our recommendations have been and what we want them to follow up with in terms of their child's development and their needs. At the time of the recommendations, we also let the parents know that there will be a written report that goes out, and it usually goes out to the referring agency, so whoever referred the child in for the assessment, but it also goes out to any community partners that are going to become involved with the child, or that the parent would like to get a copy of that report. And that can often include pediatricians, family doctors, home visitors, public health, any of those other partners out in the community that are working with the child or that are important to the child's development.
Growing Great Kids is about removing barriers for families and focusing on the needs of the child. It is not just about health care, it's about connecting to the system of health, education, social services, and creating a coordinated care plan that supports each child and their family.